Hey folks, how's it going? It's Game Webcam. Now, today I'm going to be making a video that's a little bit different from the usual videos that I'm making. Not that I already don't do that enough. But in this video, I actually want to talk about how I completely changed my workflow of making a YouTube video as opposed to over a year ago. From recording the video, to editing the video, to uploading the video. Because I can't lie, there's definitely a lot that has changed in terms of making a YouTube video. And maybe for those of you who are listening to the video, you could probably take some of my advice and probably apply it to how you make your own YouTube videos, and maybe try and, you know, make videos better than me and probably get bigger than me, and I will just sit and cry. Now, before we start this video, I want to give a huge shout out to my Discord server. You can find the link in the description below and you can join it. This is what's going to allow me to send out some updates or some notifications in regard to when my videos are uploaded, because I have under 1,000 subscribers, which means I don't have access to the community tab feature, which would allow me to more easily communicate with my fans. But if you do want to help me get that community tab, all you have to do is just leave a like and hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out as a content creator. It only takes a few seconds, and if you don't really enjoy watching my content, you can unsubscribe at any time you like. So the way that I want to start off this video is I want to talk about the recording software that I'm using, because that has definitely changed in the past year. Prior to the Switch, I was actually using Bandicam to record a lot of my gameplay, a lot of my webcam footage, and all that sort of stuff until the middle of November, where I decided to make a video debating whether I should be using Bandicam or OBS. And this decision wasn't made out of nowhere. If you do want to see me talk in full about my decision between whether I want to move to OBS or Bandicam, there is the video up on the top right corner. You can go ahead and click on that and watch the video for yourself. After this video, I decided to record a few more videos using OBS and kept going, seeing whether it was better than Bandicam. When it came to recording the videos overall, there wasn't that much of a difference. I pretty much just hit the record button and just went on with my day, and it felt like there was absolutely no difference. However, I will say that recording in OBS had less technical difficulties. The only severe technical difficulty that I've ever come across was my computer randomly shutting off during a recording. This happened back when I was filming the last episode for Playing Flash Before It Is Gone. Randomly, my computer shut off for absolutely no reason, and I was recording some gameplay. But here's the thing, usually when I record videos with Bandicam, I record them to MP4. But with OBS, I was actually recording my videos to a new file container called MKV. And it's supposedly said that MKV is better at recovering files from corruption than MP4. So when I actually checked the video, yes, some of the metadata that the video had was lost, like the video duration and everything. But the most important thing was it actually preserved my entire intro to the video. The only problem was it didn't save any of the actual gameplay itself. But the fact that the MKV was able to preserve some parts of the video was a huge improvement to begin with. If I were to have recorded with MP4, there is nothing that I could have done to recover that file, because MP4 works a lot more differently from MKVs. But other than that, the other few technical difficulties that I've had while recording OBS was the occasional microphone mute. Sometimes when I launch OBS for the first time, especially after updating it, sometimes it will just not register any of my audio devices at all, so I have to go back into the settings and configure it so that way it knows that I have my audio settings. But other than that, that's really the only technical difficulty that I really came across when recording with OBS. However, it wasn't the recording setup alone that made me switch to OBS. Editing videos with OBS recordings was a lot easier. Importing OBS recordings took a lot less time than importing Bandicam recordings, because there are less files that OBS outputs, and because of the smaller file size, it made it a lot easier to import into Premiere Pro. Another thing that OBS recordings did that Bandicam recordings didn't was sync my face cam. When I was trying to edit my Bandicam recordings, it was so annoying to try and sync my face cam with my audio. And the thing is, it was completely random. It could either be perfectly in sync or it could be off by a full second. And it always was in between. So I had to brute force and check every time to make sure that the face cam was in sync. And this was an honest nightmare to do. OBS basically removed all of this pain entirely because the face cam starts recording before I even hit the record button, which just makes it so much more convenient to do. And with the weird workaround that I had to do with face cam, well, turning it into a normal face cam wasn't that difficult to do. All I had to do was just apply a crop filter on it and just do a few transformations, moving it around, scaling it down a little, and there we go. We have a face cam that pretty much looks identical to what Bandicam would offer. And unfortunately, that's where a downside comes in. Because I am actually taking the whole video and cropping it so it only shows my face cam, that is gonna be ending up with me using more computing power, because this is the equivalent of rendering 4 1080p videos, but obviously a lot of the footage is cropped out so that way it looks like a standard 1080p video. Another downside has to do with the fact that I'm recording in MKV. See, while MKV does have a lot of uses, it's not widely supported. So Premiere Pro does not recognize MKV files, which means I'm gonna have to convert those MKV files to MP4 files before I'm able to import them into Premiere Pro and edit them just like normal. However, OBS does have a very useful tool that easily converts MKVs to MP4s. It's called the Remux tool, and you can easily find it in the file menu, and I could just simply put in the MKV file that I want to convert to an MP4. In less than a minute, it converts it to an MP4. It really doesn't take a lot of computing power, and it doesn't take a lot of my time, so I found the trade-off to be worth it at the end of the day. I mean, when I analyzed the pros and the cons of using OBS to record my footage, OBS made itself the better recording software by a long shot. And ever since the Lil Nas X concert video, I've actually been recording videos using OBS, and only OBS. So that means in the past few months, I have not touched Bandicam once. But for the sakes of this video, I'm actually going to be revisiting Bandicam. Alright, hey, yo, what's up? Alright, so this is a physical recording of me revisiting Bandicam real quick. I'm just gonna go through a bullet point list of all the things that I have figured out when I use Bandicam. So let's launch Bandicam. I'm recording using OBS, so don't worry, I'm not recording using Bandicam. But here we go. Here's Bandicam. So when I first opened up Bandicam, I updated it so that way it is Bandicam version 5.0. Obviously, I should probably censor this information because that is not my email. That is my uncle's email, and that is sensitive information that I'm gonna blur out. But as you can see, Bandicam updated their version to version 5, so I decided to, you know what, install the update. Why not? And it seems to have fixed the Logitech issue. As you can see, I have Logic Capture open right here, aka the daemon program that I have to use in order for a face cam to be possible. And as you can see, it's picking up Logic Capture perfectly fine. It seems like they've fixed the issue that originally drove me away from using the program in the first place. So I'm glad that they at least acknowledged that issue. So it seems like their microphone setup is permanent. I don't think they're gonna be changing this, and I can understand that. They're trying to make it so that way you can have more audio devices to record. I mean, here's the thing though, OBS gives me a lot more control over my audio tracks than I think Bandicam will ever be capable of. I'm sorry, but even if I were to try to get the most controlling settings out of Bandicam, I'm still not gathering my full potential from Bandicam. OBS seems to do this without a problem, so yeah, I was originally not a big fan of this, and the fact that they're going with it, I can respect them, but it's just not for me, so you know what, I'm not gonna mess with that. Here's the thing, their setup panel is a bit more spiffy in this version. I kind of like it. As you can see, there is a microphone meter that shows me how loud I'm talking, and here is my system audio right here. That's kind of cool as well. OBS has had this for years, so I think Bandicam is just trying to play catch up here with the audio meters, which again, I think is kind of nice, but again, OBS has had this for years now at this point, so yeah, Bandicam really fell behind here. And it seems like they're trying to make themselves look more customizable with their text overlay effects. But again, I don't think Bandicam will ever beat OBS on customization. When it comes to customization of like a interface for like streaming or whatever, OBS will always win by a long shot. I think it's like one of OBS's like cream of the crop features that you will not find with any other recording software. So I get that Bandicam is trying to get there, but obviously they are far, far from that capability. So yeah, they definitely are not going to be able to beat OBS on this. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I've noticed when it comes to seeing the Bandicam option. I'm thinking about actually using it one last time, and probably I'm just going to record some generic gameplay. I'm not going to be using it to record an actual video per se. So if there's any gameplay that I'm showing to you in this video, it's going to be recorded off of Bandicam. So at least it's my proper goodbye to Bandicam by using it one last time for a somewhat useful purpose. So I mean, that's pretty much all I have, so I'm gonna be going back to voiceover me now, aka the narrator that you pretty much hate to watch because you would just prefer to see my face over hearing just the bland voice. But you know what? We can't have everything in life, okay? From looking at Bandicam myself, there's really nothing else to say. I think Bandicam has reached its end. And that's coming from somebody who has used Bandicam for a little over 8 years now. What's really crazy to me is that Bandicam's license costs $40, which would make sense in 2013. When I was 13 years old, I didn't have the ability to make my own purchases, so I'm pretty sure I got this as a Christmas present looking at that price, and I'm pretty sure my uncle got this for me because he was the only person at the time who had a PayPal account. Now, of course, I have a PayPal account, but I didn't have a PayPal at the time. I was just too young to manage my own finances. But nowadays, there's a recording software that has way more features than Bandicam, and it comes at the price of nothing, which pretty much is handicapping Bandicam, which pretty much should give a reason of why Bandicam should no longer be having licenses for their recording software at this point. But even then, OBS is open source, which allows for anybody to look at the source code and make their own contributions to the source code itself. And the fact that OBS is probably the most popular recording software that you can come across in this day and age, it's pretty much how OBS stays modern, and Bandicam just cannot keep up with all of this. Bandicam is the software that made the Metrono Ivernin era happen. If it weren't for Bandicam, Metrono Ivernin would have been less eventful. And for the many videos that I've recorded and uploaded on the Metrono Ivernin channel, Bandicam was the go-to software if you wanted to record any gameplay or any footage for that matter. And I'm pretty sure I have used every last penny of that license, and it definitely paid off at this point. But honestly, I just don't see a purpose in continuing to use Bandicam. Once I go through all the gameplay footage that I want to record for this video, I'm going to actually uninstall Bandicam, and you're about to watch that right now. Well, alright then, this is where I uninstall Bandicam, so I think I have enough footage that will allow me to cover the rest of this video, but alright, well, let's just get straight to it. Alright, here we go. Uninstall Bandicam, let's go. Alright. Alright, and there we go. Bandicam is now 100% uninstalled. Rest in peace, Bandicam. It's been a good 8 years. Okay, hi, welcome back to Voice Over Game Webcam. So we're gonna continue it from here. So My recording process hasn't been the only thing that has changed. I'm not kidding when I say that I changed my entire workflow. After switching to OBS from Bandicam, I took a whole evaluation to my entire workflow, and that includes looking at the software that I was using to edit my videos. But before I can talk about the new software that I'm using to edit my videos, I need to briefly explain my history of using different video editing softwares. So the first ever video editing software that I used was PowerDirector 14. My mom bought me this editing software as a Christmas present for 2014, and of course that's because, again, I couldn't maintain my own finances, so I wasn't able to make my own purchases. And it actually served me well in the first few months. It was able to do what I wanted it to do. However, the problem started when PowerDirector 15 released. A few months after PowerDirector 15 released, my PowerDirector 14 software was starting to run into some issues. It was deliberately crashing, rendering was taking a lot slower than usual, and the problems were only snowballing into worse situations as time went on. And I actually went on to Google to search this up because I wanted to see if I was the only one who was experiencing these issues. And when I searched this up on Google, nobody was talking about it. I got no search results talking about how PowerDirector seemed to be slowing down their software whenever a new version of PowerDirector has been released. And it really got me questioning, was PowerDirector deliberately slowing down their software? And I'm pretty sure the reason why nobody really talks about it is because the people who tend to use PowerDirector usually can afford to purchase another license. So when a new version of PowerDirector comes out, they probably are just going to ditch the older software and immediately purchase the newer version of PowerDirector, which probably explains why nobody was talking about these issues. Eventually, the issues that I was starting to come across in PowerDirector 14 got so bad to the point where I was actually looking for an alternative to PowerDirector. At one point, I was actually willing to just give up a video editing software entirely because I would rather not have a video editing software at all than continue to use a video editing software that's just going to run into tons of issues. I was so desperate to get a new video editor that I just looked at Premiere Pro and just decided to pirate the software so that way I could at least have a video editor that just would not crash on me. Premiere Pro is the next video editor that I've begun to work with, and I would say it's the first real editor that I had to work with. And like I said, I did actually pirate Premiere Pro for the first few years of using it because I really did not like Adobe Creative Cloud subscription model. And I think this is why a lot of people tend to like Adobe's Creative Suite series over the Creative Cloud series. While it might be cheaper in the long run to get continuous updates, I'm pretty sure people don't like the concept of a recurring fee that they will have to continuously pay in order to keep the software that they have to use. For those of you who are really worried about me breaking the law, I did eventually stop using the pirated software when I first got into college. And the reason why is because, well, college covers my Adobe Creative Cloud expenses. So I can pretty much use the entire Creative Cloud without having to pay a single penny. So for the next few years, I was pretty much all set to use Creative Cloud and continue using it to create my YouTube videos. However, that was until 5 months ago when I came to the realization that I'm not going to have Adobe's Creative Cloud forever because I'm not going to be in college forever. I mean, here I am in my junior year, in my spring semester, and I'm going to be graduating next year, which is not that far away. And when I graduate, I'm certainly not going to continue paying for Adobe's Creative Cloud subscription, and I know college is no longer going to cover the expenses for me. So the only choice that I had was to try and find alternatives to my Creative Cloud software. And that was when my close friend Jocelyn decided to introduce me to this software called DaVinci Resolve. At the time of hearing DaVinci Resolve, it was in its early beta for DaVinci Resolve 17. The reason why my friend Jocelyn was able to find this software in the first place is because she doesn't have a whole lot of money. So of course, when it came to editing videos, she's going to try to find the cheapest yet the most effective software to edit YouTube videos. And that is when she came across DaVinci Resolve. Now, of course, she doesn't use DaVinci Resolve right now because she doesn't have the computing power to run DaVinci Resolve, but she told me about it, and I actually decided to download DaVinci Resolve for myself. And I actually managed to learn the basics of it in just a few hours. I became a lot more comfortable with the workflow the more that I used it. And here is the best part about DaVinci Resolve. The entire editing software is free, but it does come with a deluxe version that has more premium features, such as being able to edit in 8K or greater than 60 frames per second and get a lot more advanced features such as HDR. However, I can make do with all of the features that come in the free version of DaVinci Resolve, so I was pretty much set. One of the features that DaVinci Resolve offered that immediately stood out to me was the color correction. DaVinci Resolve's color correction will shred Premiere Pro any day. When it comes to making color corrections to my face cam, all I could really do in Premiere Pro was just to brighten the image and just add a little contrast, and that's all I pretty much could do. But in DaVinci Resolve, I could control temperature, hue, lighting, color boosting, saturation, all in one panel, which makes it very easy to use. I was actually very impressed with the color correction myself, to the point where I actually sent multiple screenshots to my friends because I was really amazed at the color correction that DaVinci Resolve had to offer. But in long story short, anything that I could do in Premiere Pro, I can easily do in DaVinci, and DaVinci Resolve feels more of an upgrade. The only problems that I encountered with DaVinci is that I crash a lot more often on DaVinci, but fortunately I have acquired the habit over the years of saving often, so anytime I do encounter a crash with DaVinci, I usually don't lose a whole lot of progress as a result. And if you do want to actually get the deluxe version of DaVinci Resolve, it is in fact pretty expensive, but here's the great thing about paying for the deluxe version. Because if you purchase the deluxe version for, let's say, DaVinci Resolve 17, you pretty much have deluxe version for DaVinci Resolve 18, 19, basically all future versions of DaVinci Resolve, which I think is certainly a lot better than Adobe's stupid subscription model, because it basically means that once you pay for the deluxe edition, you own the deluxe edition forever. I would say that the editing portions of DaVinci pretty much make up for Premiere Pro, while Fusion, another panel that does come with DaVinci Resolve, will actually help make up for After Effects, but I still have yet to learn OpenFX. I would say that the only Creative Cloud program that I am still using at this point is Photoshop, because Photoshop, unlike Premiere Pro and After Effects, is much more difficult to replace. Before using Photoshop, I did use GIMP at one point, and it's said to be the closest that you can get to Photoshop. However, I found the controls to be a lot more complicated for GIMP than Photoshop. This includes transformations and making selections. However, the last time that I have used GIMP was about 5 years ago, so maybe GIMP has received a lot of updates since then, probably solving a lot of these key issues. However, another Photoshop alternative that comes to my head is something called Photopea, or as I like to pronounce it, Photopea. It's basically a lot like Photoshop, except it's built into the browser, so you don't necessarily have to install everything. That being said, though, it is built into the browser, so there are some conflicts when it comes to shortcuts, especially the transformation shortcut, because it conflicts with the browser shortcut of making a new tab. And the second downside of Photopea is that it is plastered with a lot of ads. That's probably why I'm not going to be using Photopea unless I get very desperate. And despite me using it in the past, no, I will not be using Paint.net. I pretty much consider the software outdated at this point, and it seems very basic, so I'm just not gonna touch Paint.net. No shame to anybody who does use Paint.net as their daily driver, but it's just not the program for me. I will be making a decision eventually on which alternative that I will start using to make my thumbnails, but right now I'm not ready to give up Photoshop just yet. But after I give up Photoshop, I will be moving away from Adobe Creative Cloud forever. I will not have to pay a single penny to Adobe Systems ever for having to rent a software that I do not own. Again, I really don't like the subscription model. I think it's completely stupid, and I personally like the pay model of Creative Suite a lot more. Alright, so that's the editing side of things done with. Now, I know those were very long segments I talked about, so I'm going to be talking about uploading the video, and I promise you this one's going to be fairly short. About 6 months, YouTube upgraded to a newer YouTube Studio for uploading videos. It essentially makes uploading a lot more streamlined, making use of a lot of YouTube's newer features, such as the cards and the end screen. And before I started uploading on the game webcam channel, I had this extension called vidIQ. It's a browser extension that is very popular with YouTubers because it gives them stats and tips on how to do better in the algorithm. I personally didn't like the extension because it always nagged me to use cards, end screens, and steal tags from others' videos, so that way people could find my video, that way I could get more views and do better in the algorithm. You have to keep in mind that I was still uploading to Classic YouTube Studio at this time, and Classic YouTube Studio was not really designed to handle YouTube's newer features so well. So I found cards and end screens to be really annoying to apply with Classic YouTube Studio. However, it was when I started uploading to this channel that I managed to get the newer, more modern YouTube Studio that we all know and love, and I realized the importance of cards and end screens. You have to keep in mind, when people finish watching a video and they want to watch another video on YouTube, they usually will want to look at the sidebar that is on the right-hand side of a video to look for another video to watch. The problem with this sidebar is that this sidebar tends to favor much bigger YouTubers over smaller creators. Even if you were to be watching a video that comes from a smaller creator, the sidebar is just going to be heavily loaded from either your personal recommendations or videos that come from a bigger YouTube channel, which means that the smaller creator in the end pretty much cannot grow because they don't get enough engagement from an outside audience. And that is the reason why cards and end screens exist, because cards and end screens give small YouTubers the opportunity to get people to watch more of their content. I mean, you've seen me do it earlier in this video, but there's a reason why I always try and nudge people to click on my cards and check out my other videos, because I can't rely on YouTube's sidebar to keep viewers on my channel. So I pretty much have to make my own efforts to try and keep viewers on my channel. That is why whenever I make a YouTube video, I always try to make connections to some other videos that are on my channel, because when I make connections to other videos that are on my channel, I could just simply apply a card at that specific moment, so that way viewers who are curious can go ahead and click on that card and be able to watch that video for themselves and be able to get more of an introduction to me as a content creator. Again, I have certain methods and strategies of trying to introduce new viewers to my channel and keep them engaged if they enjoy the content that I like. Now, of course, I can't change everybody's mind at the end of the day because people have various different types of content they like and don't like, and not everybody has to like my content. However, by doing these certain methods to try and get viewers to watch more of my content, it gives people a better impression of who I am and a good reason why they should continue watching me as a content creator. However, one video can make a good first impression of who a content creator is. It's very important that you get those new viewers to watch more of your content, so that way they get a better opinion of you before they have to make the decision if you are a creator that is worth watching. I mean, one other thing that I could say about YouTube Studio is that I could also look at some analytics, which you've heard me state before at the introduction of my videos. I mean, a lot of bigger YouTubers have caught on to this, so that's why they obviously talk about the percentage of people who are subscribed to their videos, because it's a key statistic that pretty much incentivizes people to subscribe to the channel. But other than that, there's not a whole lot else I can say. And like I said, this one was going to be a fairly short section, and I'm going to be sticking to my word here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Yes, I'm sorry that this was another long video. I'm sorry. I just enjoy making these because I love to do critical analyses and love to do lengthy discussions on topics. That's just who I am. And yes, I do occasionally make the shorter video every now and then, so you don't have to sit through 30 minutes of your day just to watch me as a content creator. But obviously, those concepts are a lot harder to think of for me than a lengthy discussion and a critical analysis on a particular topic. And that's why I like doing critical analyses on Roblox, because I don't feel like a whole lot of other Roblox YouTubers tend to do this. When I take a look at a lot of Roblox commentary channels, they simply just recite recent events that came from Roblox and just inject their opinion on it, which, to their advantage, it makes their content very bingeable. But of course, it's not original and it's not unique in my eyes. I mean, if that's the content that they enjoy making, then so be it. They can make that content all they want. But that's not what I want to do with this channel. What I want to do for Roblox is fully analyze specific topics, extrapolate as many details out of it as possible, and try to encourage discussion from the Roblox community, because that's what I really enjoy doing. And that's why I like making content on Roblox alternatives, because it's fresh and interesting and I really like it. And it turns out that a lot of my viewers like it as well, because those are the videos that tend to do very well on this channel. Oh, and I have been getting people who have been asking me for another Brick Hill video. Don't worry, I have one planned out and I will be recording it soon, so don't worry, I got something for you. But that's pretty much all I have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out as a content creator, and hit the bell icon to be notified for all future uploads. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and take care.